Tumble Track is having a sale, 5% off carpet bonded foam and 10% off home gymnastics products. Check out their website, the sale tab, to see more. Visit TumbleTrack, TUMBLTRAK, tumbletrack.com. Train smart. Remember, behind the scenes is TV 14-ish, so you'll definitely hear a naughty word or two. So before we start the show tonight, which is essentially a comedy recap, thanks to Simone Biles, we would like to show you a little bit of what we've been up to while we're here in Belgium, bringing you the hard-hitting journalism. Your most embarrassing gymnastics story.
One time, I shit my pants. I thought I was never going to tell anybody that, but it happened.
One time when I was little, I did a dismount on rings and my shorts were on my knees.
At championships, I did my mount and completely jumped over the beam. That was a very humbling experience.
Tripping on the vault run up, face first into the board.
No, nothing. Skip.
I don't really know.
That's a question we can't answer.
All the wedgies. Cuando se te mete el leotardo? Ay, no, qué pena.
My leotard went right in my butt. I forgot to put the glue on. Embarrassing.
My first European Championships, going out there and just doing a flick out to my face. That was okay, it was fine.
It was rough. Falling on a movement in beam choreography.
Tokyo, where I split the beam on a change leg. Made a little squeaky noise. That made it even better.
I actually fell 4 times at the last Olympics. Trying to redo that.
When I was younger, my coach was spotting me for cast handstands. Maybe let something rip near his face.
One time before the meet, I forgot my grips. And I was like, can give me the grips?
Butt bounce, butt roll over the table in a warm-up. I was at a championships.
When I was little, I thought you could just apply to go to the Olympics.
Le French comprend du début.
Oh, ouais, c'était gênant. C'était super gênant. Running off the floor after your last tumbling pass right to the bathroom because you just can't hold it anymore.
I still did a great routine, but yeah, shit happens.
This is... when I first started the show, I was like, I hate how NBC covers gymnastics, and I want the gymnasts to be more have agency, and you see their personalities, they're real people. And that's why I love that video so much. And we have more interviews like that and more montages like that on our YouTube channel. And the best gymnast in the world is
not Jessica.
Simone Biles, but that is what almost happened to her floor routine. Simone was determined to prove that gymnasts are the clumsiest humans on earth and gave us comedy gold and a great floor routine at the same time. Rebeca Andrade and Shilese Jones are both repeating as all-around medalists. It's October 6th. Welcome to GymCastic, the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. If you're a Club Gym Nerd member, make sure to switch over to your members-only feed now, which you can listen to on your favorite podcast player. And we have a new button if you're new. There's a new button on the homepage that's, boop, I'm new here, and it'll show you all the things that we're known for and so much important history. Okay, correction from yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Ilya Kovtun is training in Croatia, not the Czech Republic. It was not Kensley's mistake. It was obviously me. Croatia, Czech Republic.
That was implied, I feel like.
They don't even have close to the same flag. What was I thinking? Anywho, you guys, before we get into the most hilarious moment in gymnastics of all time and an all-around final, we have an important letter to read.
Shell says, first, I just want to let you know how much I love the podcast. I've listened for just over a year as a non-member, thinking I didn't need the extra content. But I recently signed up to Club Gym Nerd as I'm away for work and have lots of downtime. And it turns out I 100% needed the extra content. Love it all. So this is just a shout out to say I was wrong. You're all fab. And thank you.
Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. We need our members so much. Let's take a look and revisit one of the most untimely dance attacks of all time. Spencer, how would you describe this moment that happened to our beloved queen, Simone Biles?
It's the best thing that's ever happened in my entire life. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So Simone was going toward the end of her floor routine, her coronation floor routine, because we were all like, Simone's going to win. She's ahead by a lot in the all-around final. It's toward the end of her routine. She's going for her switch leap full on floor. And she the floor stole her feet, I guess is what happened, is the only way I can describe that. She just stopped and lurched forward. It was like sometimes what happens on Spieth floor when you land a tumbling pass wrong and you get ejected forward. She got ejected forward on an attempted almost dance element and was like, oh, I'm Simone. What if I replace that skill with nothing and I'm still going to win floor? I don't need it.
When Shilese's attack, a floor routine by Simone Biles.
Yeah, I think that needs to be like a Fox Network special, like when Shilese's attack, and it's just people eating it like before they do dance elements. I would watch a crap out of that.
So she said that, like her legs were so tired, like even before her floor routine, like she felt like she couldn't lift them up. And that earlier in the routine on her, was it her fouette full, that she felt like she kicked the floor. And then when she did that, she really kicked the floor. And then she said she was thinking like, I didn't know if I needed it for credit or I didn't. So I was trying to think like, how am I going to work that in there? And then by that time, there was no time. Oh my God, you guys.
Yeah, that was
amazing.
Could you see the moment? I think Cecile said, like Simone immediately went to Cecile, and I think Cecile said, you didn't need it. But that was like the first reaction afterwards. She was like, you're Simone. That wasn't a requirement. You didn't lose 5/10 for anything. You just counted a B instead. It's fine. You got a 14.5. You're the world all-around champion. I feel like this was... like the U.S. gymnasts in that final rotation on floor, both Simone and Shilese, understood that you have to keep things interesting for the crowd because we kind of pretty much knew the medal stand after the first rotation of this one, which we'll get into. It was like we had 5 medal contenders, and then by the start of the meet we had 4, and then after the first rotation we had 3, and they were like, all right, well, we got to keep this interesting. So Simone full tripped. The amount of use I'm going to get out of that gif, I was just like giddy when it happened. I was so happy. But Shilese also just almost completely Grishinaing on her combination tumbling pass, and then somehow was able to do a double tuck out of it, which is preposterous.
And I told her, like, oh my God, when you did that, it reminded me of during COVID when so we have an interview with her coming up. We have an interview with Flavia coming up with Ethora as well. And like a sideways trying to get Simone, but you know, there's so many people. They didn't have a freaking press conference, you guys. Normally you have a press conference for the 3 medalists and you can ask them questions. They were like, no, there's no room for that because we had to put all this dumpster trash smell in here. There's no room for a press conference. So it was just like 1,000 people.
A few years?
Yeah, they did it. They did it in Kitakyushu. They did it. Did they not do it in 2022? I don't remember.
I mean, it's quite possible that I just didn't go because that sounds like something that I would do. So I'll defer to you as to whether they had one or not.
But anywho, I mean, for Simone, you should have a press conference because it's like people were literally falling, tripping over themselves trying to get. Anyway, you guys, the point is, I asked Shilese, and I was like, this like almost falling and just like doing a front full to like squat almost on your butt to just like lean forward into a double back reminded me of during COVID when she just put like an air track on the ground in front of their house and she was like doing some tumbling and she's like, I feel like I get a lot of power out of this. And her dad's like, yeah, do a double back. So she did a double back out of a step on a air floor on her yard ground, which is, and she was like, yeah, I was like, did you ever think
training?
Yeah, important training, COVID, do gymnastics in your yard. But also, I was like, did you ever think you weren't going to make it? Like you shouldn't go for it? And she's like, no, I've done that before. I knew I was going to make it. Like, I love that Shilese is always offended if I'm like, how did you gymnastics thing? And she's always like, have you met me? Excuse me. Yeah, it's my favorite thing about Shilese. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, she was training. She knew this moment was coming during COVID. And she was ready for it.
COVID happened for a reason, so she could train in the yard for that. It was
millions dead, but at least Shilese
had training time.
A tumbling pass at Worlds.
Leave it to me to find the golden silver lining.
The most horrible thing you could possibly say that you will immediately regret. Yes, I do leave that to you always.
Okay, so should we talk about our amazing, once again, golden Simone Biles world champion for the 157th time?
6th time, but yes, also for the 157th time. So her 6th world all-around title, 34th world and Olympic medal, so she's definitely, positively, 100% for sure the first on the all-time list of world and Olympic medals, with Latynina in second.
She is
Even
officially has the most world and all-around medals now. She did not for the last years when everyone said she did, but now she actually does, ahead of Latynina. Exactly. Sorry, I
Almost
think you
like
might have
what
glitched.
I just said.
Sorry, you glitched and I missed.
Okay.
And so I was like, I better say this in case people didn't hear Spencer. So thank you, Spencer. It was the internet, not me.
Okay.
Let's start with vault.
So yeah, even though her tripping on floor was obviously the highlight of her meet, the other highlight would probably be her chung, which was best of the year by far. Like, we've come a long way since that hideous thing, quote Simone Biles, in podium training. Come a long way. That was not the hideous thing of podium training.
Her tweet tells us, why did you put that hideous thing up? Yeah, it was beautiful. The best chung she's done. I don't remember when she did one that beautiful. It was so good. So good.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. I think, like, she's done that before at, like, a nationals. Like, she's done that chung before, because she's Simone. It's hard to find, like, the best time she's ever done something. That was definitely one of her best. Bars and beam, I thought, were both, like, fine, did more than enough. She had to add that extra giant swing on bars in the middle of her combination, which didn't lose any difficulty, because she did it after the giant full, which doesn't have anything in connection anyway. But that was really the only thing. And then beam, she had that wobble on her switch mount, but she did her backup series right after it. It was like, some no big deal stuff. She looked very comfortable.
Yeah. I think what I want to know, did you see what happened after her bar routine?
I don't think so, because I don't have any notion of an interesting thing happening after a bar routine.
Okay, I will save that for behind the scenes and tell you about it then. But was there any time when you thought in your mind were you like worried that Simone wasn't going to do it?
I mean, I wouldn't be worried anyway, but no, there was no moment where I didn't think where I thought Simone wasn't going to win the all-around gold.
She said that she actually felt more pressure in team finals because that's where everything happened in Tokyo. So she was more stressed, more worried, and that she actually felt more relaxed and chill today. And I think, like, she was amazing in team finals, but when I saw that vault, I was like, oh, she's in her element. The most people are in this arena. I can believe it was sold out tonight because it was extremely full. Still an absolute death trap. And make sure you know how to get out of there if you're going live, but to watch it in person. But it was so full. The crowd was amazing. I feel like I say this now all the time at Worlds, that this crowd's amazing. They know gymnastics. But now at every Worlds, when there are people, unlike Doha, to fill the seats, they know gymnastics. Like, they knew Melanie. They knew like the good skills that people were doing. They were great. So I just felt like, oh, there's more people here. This is where she shines. She's going to do incredible. And oh my God, what a great final. We got to see Simone, Flavia, Andrade, Shilese all in the same rotation together. The dream. This is how every gymnastics meet should be. Just always put them together. Oh my God, it was so exciting. I loved it. She also said, oh, you guys, I was like, oh my God, I've never seen her cry on the podium. She must have really felt the pressure. This is like a huge deal. Like, you never see her, feel it. She never shows that she's nervous, but like clearly she was, and now she's letting it all out. And we didn't see how much pressure she felt to like sextuple Pete or whatever it is, with all of these sixth golds. But
that time you're right on the like sex prefix.
Thanks. But she was like, I was not crying. I had something in my eye. I've had something in my eye for the last 4 hours, and the whole team can vouch for me. I wasn't crying. I have this thing in my eye. I can't get it out. And she said, I think I'm going to give myself pink eye because I've touched my eye so many times trying to get this thing out of my eye. So in case you were like me and were like, emotions, that's not what happened. There's a gnat in her eye or something, an eyelash. So wish her luck getting that out.
That's the Swarovski crystal.
Swarovski crystal. It jumped off her leotard and sabotaged her eyeball. Nothing can stop her.
Let's get Simone some eye wash before event finals, everybody. This should be first priority What
are
is
these
anyone else doing?
doctors for if they're not squirting salt water into your eye?
How many staff
Saline
members
pollution.
does USAG have here? Get
Not
Simone some eye
enough.
drops. Come on.
Okay, so so we also have to talk about what happened before the meet even started, like moments
Right.
before the meet started. Like they were about to march out, or were marching out, and we got a tweet from British Gymnastics.
Yes. So Jessica Gadirova withdrew from the all-around final very last second. Suddenly, I just looked up the scoring app, and it said Alice Kinsella, and I was like, I really hope she wasn't in the whole time, and I've just been embarrassing myself, because that sounds like something that would happen at the end of Worlds, where I'm like, wait, that's new, right? She wasn't just in the all-around final the whole time. So Jessica Gadirova withdrew. British Gymnastics saying it was a precautionary measure, so that's what we know in that department. Roethlisberger said that she had been, warming up in the training gym. So, one of those things. Precautionary measure is basically like, we're not telling you. It's none of your business. Go away. That's basically what that means.
Yeah. I also think it could mean wasn't having a great training these last couple days, knew she had better chance at medaling if she just chills right now, and Kinsella's amazing and finished right behind her in qualifying. So why not give her a shot and give yourself a little more rest and a better chance to medal? So yeah. And Alice Kinsella did amazing.
Yeah.
She did great. I'm super stoked for her.
Yeah, she's going to be one of those who's like, oh, she's been in so many all-around finals and she's always so close. Because she keeps having really good meets and getting close. We also still saw, so as of last time I looked, Joss Robertson is still on the start list for the vault final tomorrow. So that was the other thing I was looking at. Still there as of right now. And
Simone had an emotional support Robertson with her in the mix zone. So
that is very important.
But I couldn't see, did she still have her boot on in the mix zone when she was standing there? Joss. Yeah, I couldn't tell. So we'll see what happens. Just because you have a boot on doesn't mean you can't vault. That's for sure.
You just described college gymnastics.
Welcome to college gymnastics. You can have a next race on during the week and still do your bar routine at the end of it. Okay, so silver medal, Rebeca Andrade, the defending world champion.
Magical.
So she was so great. I feel like she knew after beam, she came off beam, and you rarely see her be have a Simone face, but she had a little bit of a Simone face after beam, oh, that wasn't enough. What did you think?
I didn't notice that, but I thought she had a really strong competition overall. She now has 3 all-around medals: Olympic silver, world gold, world silver. So that's pretty good. In general, I thought she kind of avoided the team final hangover experience that we were talking about potentially happening, that we were talking about yesterday. With we saw, Flavia and Melanie did not have their best bars routines today. I thought Andrade mostly avoided that. Her chung was beautiful, huge, but then she landed a little piked it down just a little bit at the end, or landed a little forward, and then had to take a step. It was still, perfection, but it was not her best landing. So it was that kind of day. It was everything is almost your best. She was a little checkier on beam than she wanted to be, but it was better than the team final one. I thought she was more nervous there. And then the out of bounds on floor, that was the, Olympics throwback, where it was this is the Olympics all around final again. But yeah, I mean, a good competition overall, no major issues.
The thing for me is looking at her prelim scores versus today, she had maybe was down 0.2 as the meet went on, kept having 0.2 a lower score in each event than she did in qualifications. But when she went to floor and she did her double Y turn and finished it, stopped
triple.
Her turn triple her Mustafina, held it in releve, stopped it, paused, and then kept dancing. You're supposed to make no noise in the media section, but there were literal screams of elation in the media section. They did not come from me, by the way, because I am the absolute picture of professionalism. But it was incredible. I was that's the most beautiful that's ever been done. Is she a rhythmic gymnast? No artistic gymnast has done it that perfect in an actual meet that counts for anything. Oh my God, it was so good. So shout out to her for that, because she proved why no one else should ever get credit for any turns because of how she finished that. It was just stunning.
Mhm.
Shilese Jones.
Bronze medal, second world all-around medal in a row for Shilese. Really good competition for her. Her E-score, like Simone won the E-score crown, which I know you always want to know, you always ask about, but we didn't really have to calculate it this time because, like, obviously Simone won the E-score crown, even though she did kind of almost fall on floor. And I'm wondering how much they took into account on her trip. Like, that's the other thing. Like, how much do you deduct for all of those, like, arm waves? But Shilese, E-score only 3 2/3 tenths, 3.66 behind Simone on E-score. So they were very close on execution. It was just difficulty that made the difference there. And Shilese was ahead of Andrade on execution score. And I thought that showed up in her performance. It was her best vault of the competition so far, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, oh, this is shades of like the great gigantic D2Y that she did at Olympic trials in 20 whatever year that was.
20 whatever.
Yeah, it was 2021, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And like the entire arena gasped. Yeah, so it's interesting. She decided to take the number off of her back because I don't know if you noticed that, but because that was the thing that was sliding, and when she just started to lay back on the beam and get back up, her back kept slipping to the side. So the second time it happened, she was like, okay, we're done with this. And Sarah, her coach, was like, you don't have to wear your number. You know that, right? Like, you can just hold it up. Like, it's fine. So that's what they did, which is really smart. Like, when your stupid number is making you fall off beam because they forget that, like, you use your back for beam if you're incredibly creative, like our preciouses that are doing forward rolls on beam. Oh, thank God for a beautiful forward roll on beam. Morgane, I see you in France. Anyway, yeah. Triple turn. We discussed the triple turn, right?
We didn't yet, but she tried. I think she went for it. I thought it was closer, but not all the way around the triple L turn on floor.
Also, we didn't talk about this is an all black podium.
Yeah.
3 black women, world podium. It's freaking awesome. So stoked. And like Fred Richards, he was only the second black man to win an all-around medal. That's another thing that we should mention.
And his name is Fred Richard and not Fred Richards.
Damn it. Every time.
But other than that, you nailed it.
So you guys, I have to tell you what happened right after Simone's bars, because I was like, oh shit, I didn't mean, have I started something? Oh no, Spencer's gonna be really mad at me. But before we get to that story, I know. So before, and everything was fine, but before I get to that story, this is where we say goodbye to someone. Continue the conversation for Club Gym Nerd members. Remember, we're giving away an entire commissioned episode, but you have to be an active member. So if you're listening to the public version of this and you want to be a Club Gym Nerd member, make sure it's active, that it has to be active in October to win that full commission. Hour and a half, we'll talk about whatever you want. We can just talk about Mustafina or hilarious falls and trips in gymnastics and just laugh the entire time. We could do that, whatever you want. So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you back here tomorrow after the first day of event finals, the best day of gymnastics. But oh my God, so after Simone dismounted on bars, this thing came